Hi grade ones, welcome to this week's math video. So this week we are learning something new, and this is called measurement. So I'm sure that maybe you've heard this word before, and we use measurement to know the size of things. So for example, we can measure our couch or even us, so we can measure how tall we are. We can measure our weight to see if we're being healthy. We can measure the temperature outside to see if it's a nice day or a cold day, right? So there's lots of things that we can measure. And in this video, I will be going through some very important words that we need to learn to be able to talk about measurement. Okay, so first I want you to watch this video, take some time and learn some of the new words that we need for the measurement unit. And I'm sure that you'll notice that a lot of them you already know and you already use a lot of these words before. And that's awesome, okay? So once you're done watching this video, then please go ahead and do the worksheets I assigned for every single day in your math do-a-ting. And I will be talking to you guys on the video chat about what we learned this week in math, okay? So let's get into the video. In this video, we're going to be learning about measurement. So when we are looking at this new word measurement, it can seem a bit overwhelming because it's so long. But let's break the word down. So there's two parts to it. Measurement. So if we look at this part, measure, what comes to your mind when you're thinking about measure? Well, if you think about it, one thing we measure is our height. So we might talk about who's taller, who's shorter in the class. And when we're measuring, we are comparing. We are comparing two things together. So the word compare means that you are talking about one thing and saying how it's different than the other thing. So if we compare these two dice, we can talk about lots of different things about them. So as you're sitting at home, what could you tell me about these dice? How are they different? You can pause the video now to take a few seconds to think about that. Okay, so if I'm talking about the dice, two dice, I could talk about how one is wider and one is thinner. So when we're talking about the word wider and thinner, we are talking about the size this way, right? So which one is wider, which one is thinner? What do you think? Is this one wider or is that one wider? Well, it's this one, right? So when we're comparing these two, this one is wider and this one is thinner in comparison, right? When we're comparing the two. This one is thinner, this one is wider. So wider goes this way, thinner is like that. Okay. How else could we compare two things? Well, if I'm looking at two pieces of paper like this, and I want to talk about the height. Well, if I'm comparing the two, I could use the words longer and shorter. So if I'm using this one and I want to compare the two, is this one shorter than this one? Or is it longer than this one? If I put them together, and the important thing is when we're measuring and comparing, we need to line things up if we're talking about longer and shorter. Because sometimes when we don't, if I go here, then maybe I will get tricked, right? So I want to make sure that I line them up at the bottom really good. So I'll put them up here so you can really see it. Just like that. So if I'm talking about this, then I would say that this one is shorter than that one. And I'm using the word than a lot. So let's have a look here. So when I'm comparing two things, I use the word than. So I have this piece of paper. Oh, I wonder if you can see it now. let's use this marker instead. And this paper clip. So if I'm comparing and I want to use the word longer or shorter, then I can talk about it like this. I can say that this marker is longer than the paper clip. If I look at it, right, this one is longer. I can compare them by putting them really close to each other. So this marker is longer than this paper clip. If I switch them up, is this true? Is the paper clip longer than the marker? No. Now I need to use the word shorter. This paper clip is shorter than the marker. Okay. So again, I'm using the two items and I'm using the word then, that magic word. Now, if I go back to the dice and I want to talk about the words wider and thinner, I can go like this. This dice is wider than that dice. But if I say this dice is thinner than that dice, not quite. I would have to switch them and say like this. This dice is thinner than that dice, right? Okay, now if I have, for example, this dice and that one, this one is heavy and this one is light. So if I want to use those words to talk about them and compare them, I can use the word heavier and lighter. So let's have a look and see which one I might choose. If I put them like this, which one do you think I should put first? Is if I'm comparing this dice to that one, and I want to use the word lighter or heavier. This one is light. This one is really heavy. Then I can go like this. This dice is lighter than that dice. So this dice is lighter than that dice. If I want to use the word heavier, then I can switch them and go like this, because this is the heavy dice. So this dice is heavier than that dice. When we're comparing, we use words like this, right? Let's review them again, the words that we just learned. Let's see if you can find a pattern at the end of each word. Compare, lighter, heavier, thinner, wider, shorter, longer. What do you notice about the words? Well, they all end in ER. So when we're comparing words, we are using the ER words. Lighter, heavier, thinner, wider, shorter, longer, right? Awesome. So let's move on and let's learn the next thing. If I have 3 dice like this, and I want to talk about them, what could I say? Well, this one's really big, this one's kind of medium, and this one's kind of small, right? What if I want to put them in order? And I want to talk about which one's the smallest and which one is the biggest. Well, I would need to look at them and compare them, right? So I first need to compare the dice to figure out which one is smallest and which one is biggest. So I would look at the dice together and see. So first I would compare these two. If I'm looking at these two and I'm comparing them, well, this one's definitely bigger than this one. So do you notice I'm using the word bigger when I'm comparing? So ER, bigger. What if I'm talking about this one? This one again is bigger than this one. So this one is bigger than this one, and this one. So I know that it's the biggest. If I'm talking about these 3 dice, this one is the biggest because it's bigger than that one and this one. Now, which one is the smallest? Again, I'm going to take the 2 dice and compare them. So I will compare this one to that one. Which one is smaller? Which one is smaller? This one, right? This is the smaller dice. This one is much bigger than that one. But let's see, is this one smaller than this one too? Well, if I put them beside each other, I can definitely tell. So now I can tell that this one is the smallest. Okay, so this is the order from biggest to smallest. So this is the biggest, that one is the smallest. Now what happens if I want to order them this way? Smallest to biggest. Well, I have to change these, right? I already figured out that this one is the smallest, that one is the biggest. So I would just do a little switch, just like that. Okay, now let's learn about a different word. Or should I say 2 new words? What if I'm talking about shortest and longest? If I have these papers here, just like so, and I want to know which one is the longest and which one is the shortest, how would I figure that out? Well, first I have to compare them. So I have to look at the 2 of them and let's see. I want to compare them. Okay, I'm going to compare these 2 first. So I'll put these to the side and I want to compare them. So again, when we're talking about short and long, we want to make sure that we are lining up whatever we are measuring, whatever we are comparing at the bottom. And I can tell that this one is longer than that one. And again, I'm using the word longer, my ER word, longer. So this one is longer than that one. But is this one the longest? I don't know. I would have to compare it to the other ones to see. So let's put that one to the side. We know that this one's shorter than this one. Okay, now I'm going to line them up at the bottom again and compare them. Let's see. Okay, so this one is shorter than that one. So this one is longer. And again, I'm going to compare it to the next one. Line them up. Okay, so this one is longer. And I already know that it's longer than all of these, so then I know it's the longest. Now, to figure out which one is the shortest, then I would have to compare the other ones. So this one and this one, I don't know which one's shorter. I know these ones are shorter than that one, but which one's the shortest? So I will put them beside each other and line them up. Okay, so this one is longer than that one. So this one is the shortest. Now to figure out how do I put them? Do I put them like this or do I put them like that? Well, I would have to line them up and see which one is longer, and that would go next to the longest one. So it's this one. So I would line them up again from the bottom, make sure that they're nice and straight. And then I can tell that this is the correct order. If I want the shortest to the longest, this one's the shortest, that one is next, that one, and then this is the longest one. And I did some comparing between them to figure out the order. Thank you for watching the video. That's it for the math today, and I will see you in the next one.